Is the Republican Party doomed? Has Trump destroyed it? And ironically, will Trump leaving politics one way or another inevitably doom it even more? That's the question we're asking today. And frankly, I lean more on the side of, yeah, the Republican Party is doomed. Not even in the long run. I mean, in the relatively short run, like the medium run, so to speak. Donald Trump cannot prop up the party forever, and among the normies and the moderates, Donald Trump has ruined the Republican Party's reputation. It's this really rock and a hard place position they're in, where while they're in a great amount of power and success right now, they basically traded future middling power for current overwhelming power. And it means that in the near future, it really feels like the Republicans are going to be a shred of their former self. Like, genuinely to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if they're dissolved in 10 years. That aside, though, wishful thinking aside, let's hear what this video has to say, because this makes the argument that there are only 3 reasons why anyone is still a Republican in 2026, and when I saw that title, I think I successfully predicted those 3 reasons, and what's so, I guess, joyous about this is that most of those reasons are temporary, like, on their own, they're going to disappear, and I don't think new reasons to vote Republican are going to pop their heads up anytime soon. So, without any further ado, let's find out. This video is also by No Way No How. There'll be a link to the original video down below.
You can measure a political party, the Republican Party is an abject failure. With Republicans currently in control of all 3 branches of government, we have seen a precipitous decline in the United States in quality of life, civil liberties, and global perception around the world.
A lot of people in my community and on the left in general are kind of doomer, and they don't follow like the polling or anything like that, but Trump and the Republicans' favorability is through the floor. And Democrats are seeing their favorability skyrocket, but not just Democrats, like your like corporate bog standard Democrats, but we're seeing the bluest areas start favoring highly progressive Democratic Socialist DSA
I'm gonna come.
Yo, I literally watched that right before Steam.
Thank you. And they're backing, or people are voting for and gaining favor for DSA not sponsored, but endorsed candidates.
Republican policies have been so catastrophic that it questions the very efficacy of democracy itself if such a corrosive political party can continue to exist despite decades of failed policies. Due to the objective
Yeah, people are not big on the ICE Gestapo secret police thing either. People thought they wanted it, and then it started happening, and everyone was like, wait, hold on, this sucks.
And failure of the Republican Party's agenda during the Trump administration, many Americans have dropped their affiliation with the party.
I was a dumbass, voted for Trump.
I've seen the light. I feel guilty.
In 2 weeks, I'm done.
Never thought I'd say that, but I regret.
I'll say this. I've seen so many cases of MAGA regret, but you don't see any, like, Trump or like, Kamala regret, or like Biden regret really wasn't much of a thing. But you don't really see, like, Kamala regret. You don't really see, oh, I'm joining the Trump side. Not really common. Like, you get the grifters who are clearly always conservative joining conservatism and making a big deal out of it for clicks, but, like, we're just seeing the right shed support in real time. I don't know where they could be acquiring more support to make up for it.
My vote.
I regret it.
But there is still a stubborn 30% of the country who still clings on in 2026. In today's video, I'm going to explain the 3 reasons why any American can still be supporting the Republican Party. I will also show the Republican Party factually cannot govern and who the real base of the party is.
I'm gonna come.
Basically, the corporate right is foo.
Yeah, pretty much. They're screwed. Like, the corporate right in particular is screwed, but even the populist right that Trump represents is destroying itself, with Trump's presidency being such a massive abject failure and him failing to deliver on his most important promised issue, which was fixing the economy. He didn't fix it, he broke it even worse, and people are mad. And don't pretend like they won't notice. Everybody has noticed how broke they've been lately.
Further ado, let's dive in. The Republican Party cannot govern at any level. In any standard of judging how a political party can be successful in advancing the lives of its constituents, the Republican Party is an utter failure. The South holds the largest percentage of Republican voters and power, and is unequivocally the worst part of the country in terms of quality of life. In state rankings,
and they're a massive, massive sinkhole of federal funding. they take so much more federal funding than they provide to the economy or even to the federal government in taxes.
These Republican-led states come in dead last, whether it be the general poverty
Yep.
rate, child poverty rate, socioeconomic opportunity, population of single.
Okay, there is actually one exception. When it comes to educational test scores, I think, like, I'm pretty sure Mississippi or something has a shockingly good test scores, or like rates of like literacy or something like that, which is, it's weird. It may not be Mississippi, but it's a state you wouldn't expect, like a really southern state with a reputation for like fucking your sister, you know, kind of shit, right? Like, our incest and living in a shack and we don't even know how to read, you know, that kind of reputation. And yet they have like the highest rate of literacy in the country. So that's the one exception to this issue.
Parents, life expectancy, health insurance availability, mobility disability rates, cognitive disability rates, obesity rates, heart disease death rates, stroke death rates, cancer deaths, diabetes rates, mental distress rates, household income levels, credit score, debt delinquency, number of distressed communities, access to upward mobility, income inequality, food insecurity, incarceration rates, unemployment rates, homicide rates, amount of people without a high school diploma,
Holy shit.
or teenage birth rates. By every measurable aspect of quality of life, the place that is overwhelmingly governed by Republicans is objectively the worst place to live. If you come to the United States and want to raise a family, if you live in an area governed by the Republican Party, you are factually far more likely to have a disabled, food insecure, diseased son or daughter who has the highest chance of becoming or making someone pregnant as a teenager, not finishing high school, living in poverty, and going to jail or being murdered.
I love how these are all extremely accurate stereotypes about life in the South. They're just extremely accurate.
That's just at the state level too. But it's not good enough for the Republican Party to destroy their own states. They insist on ruining the rest of the country as well. The representatives of the Republican Party whose constituents are currently living in third world conditions
God, he looks like an old cartoon tortoise.
demand imposing their horrid policies at the federal level. If a House representative wants to put forth a new bill before Congress, the current state of the district they represent must be brought up. Every single time a Republican politician comes to speak before Congress to promote a bill,
Mike
I want to
Johnson.
hear, now coming to the podium representing shithole district number 5, 50th in education, 47th in life expectancy, and 49th in child poverty, please tell us your wisdom and wise advice on how to govern the rest of the country. We're dying to hear it.
I love when the one, like, in red states, the blue cities in red states all have the highest crime rates. Y'all ever notice that? The safest blue cities, the safest cities in America are in blue states. Like, every city's blue, but the safest cities are in blue states. The most dangerous cities are in red states. Take Memphis, Tennessee, for instance. Blue city, highest, one of the highest murder rates
As
in the
someone
country.
who lives in Ruby Red, Idaho, this is true.
Truth Noop, thank you for the $2, Vault Hunter.
The Republican Party currently holds all 3 branches of government. There is nothing holding back the party from doing literally anything they want. They have the dollar as the world reserve currency. We're the richest country in human history.
Yep.
There's quite literally nothing impeding them from implementing their worldview exactly as they see fit. So what have the results been with 2 years of this mandate? A catastrophic failure of epic proportions. They have single-handedly destroyed America's soft power in the world. They have threatened Greenland, Panama, and numerous countries around the globe. They launched an illegal offensive war of choice against Iran, a country that didn't attack us and served no threat to the United States. They have allowed inflation and government-sponsored greedflation to run out of control. They've tariffed the entire world, which has been a massive failure and is nothing but a massive tax on the poorest Americans.
And keep in mind, I still don't think Trump knows what a tariff is. I think he might literally still believe that he is taxing the governments of other countries, or maybe even the companies, the manufacturers of other countries. I think he still genuinely believes he's taxing them and not American companies.
They have abandoned U.S. farmers as a result of this trade war, requiring billions of dollars in bailouts. They've cut all consumer protections, allowing companies to scam you for as much money as possible. They've cut billions of dollars in Medicaid and healthcare across the board, including rural hospitals and life-saving disease research. They've gutted all federal agencies that actually help your life by hiring an unelected drug-addicted...
Dude, like, think about how many federal jobs have been lost as well. How many, like, park rangers have been fired? There's been mass layoffs of park rangers, fish and wildlife, people like that. So many federal jobs lost. The party of create more jobs, mass firing, and manages to sell it as a good thing. Because we're eliminating bloat. We're eliminating bloat. I'm the world's richest man, and you can trust me to eliminate bloat in the government. You can trust the world's richest man more than the government. I genuinely think... I'm going to sound like such a lib here. I'm going to sound like such a lib. But I genuinely think the amount of hate the government gets is almost manufactured by big tech, by, like, the ultra-wealthy class. Because if people think the government is our biggest enemy, our biggest villain, villain number one, bad guy number one, blame everything on the government, you're not looking at big tech. You're not looking at the big CEOs and the ultra-wealthy and what power they have, how much influence they have, how much that politics can be influenced by one individual bribing another individual, right? And now we've got Elon, the world's richest man, who has his fingers in the workings of the American federal government, and we trusted him. I say we, but like Americans trusted him. Americans wanted that because they were convinced billionaire, now trillionaire, more trustworthy than the government. Just saying.
Billionaire loser man-child who has also stolen all of your data, all while not touching the biggest source of waste, fraud, and abuse in history in the Pentagon. They've redirected billions of dollars from renewable projects to fossil fuels when electrifying is literally cheaper than fossil fuels and our grid desperately needs energy. They have supercharged a paramilitary organization composed of the dumbest, unqualified losers in society who...
God, the firing the pepper balls into the ground for no reason is so cringe, by the way. Like, see this right here? The ice guy just firing pepper balls into the ground.
Our grid desperately needs energy. They have supercharged a...
These are supposed to be like, mind you, these are press. You can see, hold on, let me get rid of myself so you can see. You can see that's a press vest right there. So this ice agent is literally just like firing pepper balls at the floor, wasting them, but also, I guess, by implication, threatening to pepper ball this like crowd of protesters, which includes press people, mind you. So that's not at all, not even a little bit gay, larpy, or fashy.
Paramilitary organization composed of the dumbest, unqualified losers in society who roam the streets destroying countless communities and murdering people in both facilities and broad daylight. They've removed numerous regulations on food, water, and air safety, allowing companies to poison you at will. They've been by far the most corrupt administration in U.S. history, with brazen insider trading, contract selections, backroom deals, to the likes we have never seen. They've wasted $20 billion bailing out Argentina's failed anarcho-capitalist government. They've wasted...
Dude, Argentina's president looks like such a scumbag. Don't get me wrong. You look at Trump and he's got this like creepy chud look to him. Don't get me wrong. But Milei just looks like a child molester. You know what I mean? Like if a casting director hired him to play a child molester in a movie or like an episode of Law and Order, you would not for a second be like, he doesn't look like he'd do that. Like he looks so... Just get a look at him when he turns around.
$20 billion bailing out Argentina.
I genuinely one of the most punchable faces on the planet, unironically. Dude, Milei's face is so much more punchable than Trump's, it's not even a contest. And I am not, like, subject to this guy's policy for the most part. Like, I'm not Argentinian, so... But I'm just saying, like, dude, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. His face, I can't stand it.
Argentina's failed anarcho-capitalist government.
It's in his fucking sideburns and his stupid-ass fucking hair. Oh, God. No, not getting stun locked on this.
They've wasted upwards of $70 billion on the pointless war on Iran, while also likely having to pay upwards of $300 billion repairing everything they destroyed in the first place anyways. They've burned $70 billion on ICE, while at the same time pretending to not have enough money to do anything to actually help your life. All while our national debt is approaching $40 trillion. They have extrajudiciously executed hundreds of fishermen in the Caribbean. They are barbarically and illegally embargoing Cuba, strangling the country from critical...
I love the clip where Trump says, we're basically like pirates, you know? It's like what we're doing down there, it's a lot like pirates, you know? We're basic... He literally just admits that we're basically pirates with what we're doing to these ships in the Caribbean. It is an insane clip.
Resources and leading to immense suffering. They've kidnapped the leader of a sovereign nation in Venezuela and brought back 19th century imperialism. They've fully removed any pretext of following the Constitution, UN, and international law. They've gutted the Voting Rights Act, allowing a race to the bottom and for state governments to essentially steal seats based largely on racial lines. They have supported and directly invested in the unrestricted expansion of data centers across the country, further poisoning residents and the environment. They've used the full power of the Department of Justice to literally cover up and protect a pedophilic ring of criminals, as there's not been a single indictment coming from the Epstein files that have been released. Everything I just mentioned there was purely what I could recall from memory when writing this. There's a ton of things I could have mentioned, but there's just too many things to list, and they're literally all bad and making your life worse. There is no good news coming from this administration. This is the endgame of their political vision for America, and everything is terrible. So if the party is doing all these incredibly unpopular things, who actually stands to benefit from this? All of these actions have been done on behalf of the Republican Party base, whose interests this party's elected members actually represent. This base is made up of 5 main groups. The first
It is the 30%, that core 30% who always vote Republican. And it's why, for the most part, when Republicans win elections, it's not because they saw very high turnout or got a lot of people to switch over their vote. It's almost always...
And the debt started with that idiot Reagan.
The decider on whether or not a Republican wins election is almost always entirely up to how high is voter turnout for Democrats. I know that sounds like well, yeah, duh. But what I mean to say is there is a pretty flat standard line of who does and who doesn't support the Republicans. And it is entirely how many normies can we get out to vote. Surely getting more people out to vote means more votes for the Democrats. And then, you know, in the long run, with enough votes coming in, the Democrats always pull ahead because of the political breakdown of America, but it's getting that voter turnout, especially from moderates. Moderates almost always lean Democrat, but they don't vote. They hardly ever vote. The reason why the 2020 election was such a big deal was because there's never been higher voter turnout than that election ever. Not before, not since. No president has ever won with more votes than Biden, before or since. So really, for the Democrats, it's just a matter of motivating people to vote to keep the other guys out of power. And that's why when leftists say the Democrats need to be more than just not Trump, more than just not Republicans, I get what they're saying. We do need more positive, positions where we're trying to achieve things. But at the same time, there's a reason for that. And it's because if you go off of the voter data, the reason people vote Democrat is because they're not Republican. Like, the Democrats only get votes when, well, almost only ever get votes when the opposing Republican is so bad that it motivates moderates to come out and vote for the Democrat.
First group being Silicon Valley tech oligarchs. This group is composed of egomaniacal libertarian billionaires who openly do not believe in democracy and want to usher in a form of techno-feudalism where they are the kings of their own personal fiefdoms. They want to pursue AI as quickly and recklessly as possible, knowing full well that it will cause everyone to lose their jobs and re-alter society, but at the same time, not believing in any social programs or wealth.
This is genuinely like the league of evil that you're seeing right now at this table. Like, these are the people who will destroy the world. If the world ends, these will be the people responsible.
Redistribution. These tech oligarchs have completely bought the Republican Party and work hand in hand with this administration to achieve their vision. Through the government investing hundreds...
There's the CEO of Google sitting at a table with Trump. You wonder why, across the board, left-wing content on YouTube is seeing a drop in push and a drop in views and a drop in everything. Meanwhile, right-wing content won't get the fuck out of your algorithm. And it's like, well, there's Google's CEO at having dinner with Trump. What do you guys think happened?
Of billions of dollars directly in these companies, as well as handpicking Silicon Valley operatives like Elon Musk and JD Vance, who hold this worldview and wish to dismantle and privatize the federal government. The next space is Wall Street and big finance, consisting of big banks, private equity, crypto scammers, and billionaires. This group has always been at the
Trump's
crux
one of the crypto
Republican
scammers.
support, giving billions of dollars in donations to Republican politicians under the guise of promoting business, or hilariously clinging to the idea of trickle-down economics. This major base of the Republican Party is to ensure tax cuts for the rich and austerity for the poor. All of this and more was achieved in Trump's big bullshit bill, which somehow further cut the taxes of billionaires and corporations who were already paying.
Trump did the biggest tax cut in history for billionaires back in 2016, and it had an 8-year expiration time. So after 8 years, it's gone. which meant that for the ultra wealthy in America, getting Trump in office in 2024 so that he could re-up that bill and keep that massive tax cut going, every oligarch in America was like in the panic room talking about how they could work to get Trump elected so that massive tax cut could keep going, because there's no universe in which Kamala would have allowed for that tax cut to continue.
Negligible taxes. 13 billionaires who are intimately connected to Wall Street currently hold prominent positions in Trump's cabinet. Every policy is enacted to benefit corporations and the mega rich, and do not even pretend to care about the American working class. The next base of support is big oil and natural gas. These corporations would like to make as much profit as possible from fracking.
I mean, they do pretend to care. Like, the Republicans do, well, they did pretend to care at one point, but not anymore. Not anymore. Now they're very much just kind of dropping the mask.
And drilling U.S. fossil fuels, while at the same time axing any efforts to develop the U.S. transition to clean energy.
Drill, baby, drill.
They are largely behind the efforts canceling
clean
American
coal,
renewable projects and massively delaying the transition to electric vehicles. They are also major proponents for illegal and blatant invasions of countries like Venezuela to further control the worldwide oil supply. They do all of this while fully knowing that they are directly leading to catastrophic results from turbocharging climate change, and while also knowing fully well that renewable technology has advanced to the point where it doesn't even make sense to continue investing in fossil fuels.
I mean, especially with nuclear, man. Come on.
From an efficiency or cost perspective. Just pure profit seeking while they still can.
Like, even coal especially, there's no excuse. Dude, with coal, there is genuinely no excuse to keep that going. Not even a little bit. This guy is a tanky, though. I don't like this YouTube account, the guy that we're watching. I don't get any tanky vibes from him, but it's possible. Like Second Thought didn't come off as a tanky for quite a while until he dropped the mask. So, you know, once again, like, I hope that most people who watch my content, if I watch a video from a creator and they turn out to have some, like, bad tanky opinions, they're not going to just say, well, I like this creator's content where he criticizes the Republicans, so I'm on the tanky train now. A lot of people are like that, unfortunately, but I'd hope most people in my audience are smarter than that.
At the cost of the entire world. The next constituency is the military-industrial complex. This toxic blob in Northern Virginia is composed of weapons contractors who peddle the president for constant war across the globe. Republicans have dropped all pretext of democracy promotion and are fully open in their bloodlust for endless wars and warmongering across the globe. Head officials don't even bother entertaining any diplomatic resolution of issues, but are foaming at
Lamau's still using tanky in 2026. What? K-Dody, what is that? Dog, what? Tanky is absolutely an applicable and appropriate phrase. It comes from the left, criticizing authoritarian leftists who make excuses for authoritarian countries that claim communism, and despite engaging in blatant colonialist and imperialist behavior. Tanky is absolutely an appropriate word to describe people who are pro-Russia, pro-China, anti-Ukraine, anything anti-West, basically, and will justify the colonialism and imperialism of any country or any entity that is anti-America or anti-Western alliance, anti-NATO. Those people are tankies, and that phrase is absolutely appropriate, K-Dody. Sorry if you've drank too much of the Hassan Kool-Aid, but it's real.
The mouth for waging wars on their perceived enemies. The purpose of the Republican Party is purely to represent the interests of these four groups. All policies are meant to benefit the mega rich and powerful. These groups, of course, only make up around 1%.
This guy defends Mao in China. I'm not a big fan of that. Here's my big problem, is that there are things about China that you can respect. Or like even think, oh, we should do things more like that. That seems like it's having good outcomes. Like, being able to look at China and, like, pull things from it that are good and have had good outcomes, provably so, is important. But, dude, the amount of just not being willing to engage with the evils of these regimes because we want to pretend like America is so much worse and NATO is so much worse is so cringe. They do it with Russia, they do it with China. I mean, like, obviously Hassan's known for doing it. Like, bro is making excuses for the police confiscating his phone to make sure he wasn't making fun of any dead leaders, you know? And he's like doing pro-China propaganda. And for a country where the police were going to potentially arrest him and did confiscate his phone to check it to make sure he wasn't making fun of their, I think it was not even their current leader, but a dead leader. Like, dude, that's the kind of shit I don't like. That's what makes a tanky, defending that kind of stuff while saying American police are tyrannical.
Of society, so it would be impossible for them to win any elections on their policies, which only benefit this small group. They therefore can only win.
Maybe this guy said some positive things about China. That doesn't make him a tanky, but I could be wrong. He might be a tanky. I'm just not gonna just take it at the word of a chatter, you know?
And through the fifth and largest part of the base
no
by
hate,
far,
no hate to you.
The MAGA crowd. The majority of this group consists of the non-college educated white working class. Despite making up the vast majority of the actual population of identifying Republicans.
Come to think of it, he does have a lot of like China stuff in the background, but like once again, like he might be a tanky. He definitely does have some of the red flags. I won't lie, red. But no, just having a reverence for Chinese culture, or even having like a non-deranged, like propagandized perspective on China does not make you a tanky. So just on its face, I'm not just going to assume he is one, but yeah. Yikes, checking his phone because he could be making fun of their leaders. Wild. No, this was a thing that happened. Do you guys not remember? I feel like it's going to be such a stunlock point. After the segment, I'll show you guys the clip.
Republicans and voters, the actual needs and interests of this base are completely underrepresented in the Republican platform. Absolutely zero of the policies of the Republican Party help this base or are designed for these constituents. In fact, these four groups of the rich and powerful laugh at and largely have disdain for the working class who elect them. Since this MAGA Republican base has literally zero policies designed for them that they are voting for, they are mobilized entirely by culture war issues. Just like dangling keys in front of a baby, the Republican Party just needs to say a couple buzzwords like immigration, LGBT, transgender, and other issues that have literally zero influence on their day-to-day lives, and that is all that is needed to get this group to vote completely out of their best interests. All the while, the actual base of the party in the rich elite robs them blind as suckers. The ability for such a large portion of the population to be completely duped out of their best interests while being essentially repeatedly punched in the face was by design. Republican politicians purposely imposed limits to New Deal-era access to education.
It feels like Republicans, while in power running the government, were all too happy to blame the government that they run for every issue, while using it as a distraction from who are genuinely responsible for most of America's problems, and always have been, which are the wealthy business owners. The true villains of America. The wealthy business owners, the CEOs, the oligarchical class. Let's be real. The government, not the real bad guys. They're bad guys, to an extent, but nowhere near as bad as the people they keep in check, which the Republicans have always had an interest in getting out of the yoke of government control. Like, giving billionaires more power over the government has always been in Republicans' best interest. Not in our best interest, though, not in the American working class's best interest by any means.
As Roger Freeman, advisor to both Nixon and Reagan, warned, we are in danger of creating an educated proletariat. These Republican policies succeeded, as today 54% of US adults and over 130 million people read below a 6th grade level.
Okay, do you want to know why this shit frustrates me when people peddled this data? 20 years ago, it was 48% of Americans who couldn't read who couldn't read above a 6th grade reading level, right? That is not that big of a difference. Like, it's definitely gotten worse. What we found looking at the data is that the worst performing students are performing the worst they have ever performed. But when it comes to the students that perform average or above average, they're doing fine. Like, they're not seeing a significant drop, really, but it is the worst performing students. The percentage of students who have always had the lowest grades, their grades are lower than they were in previous years, which is a problem. Their reading levels are lower than they were in previous years. But here's the critical thing. 99% of signs in America are written at a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, accounting for the fact that for as long as America has existed, roughly half of the country has not been able to read at or above a 6th grade reading level. This is nothing new. America has always been this stupid. I don't have a problem with calling out this data because it is real. But what frustrates with me is like the pretending like it's some new issue when it's actually been ongoing and we've been ignoring this problem for like a century.
of US adults and over 130 million people read below a 6th grade level. We have a majority of the country functionally illiterate and unable to interrogate simple narratives.
That's true.
This dismantling in education, combined with a laser beam of propaganda melting the brains of the majority of the population through Fox.
By the way, when you specifically filter for the South, bro, the percentage of people who can actually read 6th grade or above in the South, it's bad.
Mega billionaires, organized corporate religion, and lobbyists are the true enemies of the people, for they are the ones that are the root of the corruption.
Exactly. And they're the ones who have their hands in the pockets of the people in government that are making the government do bad shit.
News has allowed the incredibly unpopular policies of this small elite to become the reality in America today. This MAGA base are the actual Republicans you will meet in the real world. Within this MAGA crowd is where you will find one of the 3 categories I mentioned in the beginning of the video as to how someone can consider themselves a Republican in 2026. I promise you, every single self-proclaimed Republican in 2026 will fit into one of these 3 categories.
Now, if you want to hear more, you should go check out the original video for yourselves. There will be a link down below. But I don't want to steal his whole video. Now, people in chat were warning me this dude's a tanky, so obviously, I guess potentially that could be the case, but I'm not going to just throw that out there willy-nilly, you know, just because someone in chat said so. But, you know, that always, when you're listening to people about politics, always have your critical thinking hat on, right? Especially even when it's me, you know? Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below to give it a little boost in the algorithm. It really helps a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more and ring the bell icon to turn on notifications. But until then, I hope to see you again next time.